T-minus 30 seconds. T-minus 20 seconds. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
You are now tapped into the coolest reptile podcast in the world. Welcome to Trap Talk Reptile Podcast. I'm your boy MJ. Sorry, I don't know why I said that. I just had to go rush and turn the fan off real quick, so now I'm a little thrown off. But man, I'm your boy MJ. What is good, everybody? Welcome to episode 347, New Breed on the Block series with my boy Dom of 702 Serpents. This is your first time tapping in. What is good? Do your boy MJ a favor, man. Get that like button all the way up. Smash that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, especially if you're into reptiles, keeping, admiring, breeding, whatever, man. If reptiles is your thing, this podcast will be your thing, 110%. All right? Drop a comment. Let me know what you like best. If you listen to me on all the other major podcasting platforms such as Buzzsprout, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, the major ones, do me a favor. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe. Wherever you listen to this podcast at, thank you so much. Really means a lot, man. Honestly means a lot. Very, very humbled. But I do want to say, if you're looking for exclusive content, if you want to get more behind the scenes of what I have going on here with this podcast, if you want to tap in with some trappers, 165 trappers, man, go down to the very first link you see in the description below. Join the Trap Talk Patreon family. As soon as you join the Patreon family, you get a link to the Discord, which will tap in with over 165 trappers. Talk nothing about reptiles, selling, trading, wanting, asking questions about, man. I mean, listen, there's an anti-scamming department. No, there's not. But we all look after each other, man. Ain't nobody getting scammed in the Trap Talk Patreon family. I'll tell you that much, because we all talk to each other. We all run moves by each other, all right? Because we're all about this for the long run. You're looking at longevity, people. Trap Talk Patreon family. I love you guys so much. Exclusive content for the Patreon members, of course, but really the Discord is where it's at, man. And of course, Patreon members, whoever I haven't talked to already about the Anaheim Super Show, make sure you let me know if you're going to the Anaheim Super Show. I'm linking up with all my Patreon members, but all the homies as well. Cannot wait. Speaking of that, this episode is brought to you by the Reptile Super Show. Number one reptile show in the country, thrown by Rami, the OG, triple OG. So many vendors, so many people. It's going to be popping July 7th through the 9th. Get ready, people. Reptile Super Show. Yours truly is going to be there present with, of course, MSR, whoever's probably playing Diablo right now. God bless him. But either way, he'll be there. I'm not going to let him give his table up. Fuck that game. MSR will be at Reptile Super Show. Guarantee it. And you'll catch me there live in action with all the other homies. It's going to be great. So thank you, Rami, for your support. Appreciate you being a real one and you supporting this channel. I always got your back. That's a fact. And yeah, Reptile Super Show. Cannot wait. It's going to be an awesome time. Also, this episode is brought to you by Ship Your Reptiles. If you're going to ship your reptiles, use Ship Your Reptiles. It only makes sense, right? The best in the game, the OGs, the real OGs when it comes to shipping reptiles. Ship Your Reptiles, okay? Shout out to Chad Brown. Shout out to Susie, the entire Ship Your Reptiles family and team. You guys are awesome. And yeah, man, don't forget, they are the best, 110%. And then last but not least, I will say that tonight's episode is brought to you, no, not by her. My bad. That was a mistake. That was funny. I wish she sponsored. That would be fucking hilarious. But no, Freedom Breeder. Yo, number one stainless steel RHACS in the game. Shout out to Freedom Breeder, made of the United States. Cannot mess with Freedom Breeder. Since the 90s, OGs of this, man. They're the best. So shout out to Jesse. Shout out to the entire Freedom Breeder family. Thank you for your love and support. And then shout out to you if you got a Freedom Breeder rack, man. Pat yourself on the back. That is the professional level of rat breeding, snake breeding, keeping, even certain monitored, or not, no, I don't want to say every monitor, but you could keep, I don't know. I'm thinking of beaded lizards. Yeah. Anyways, Freedom Breeder, the number one. Thank you so much, Jesse. I appreciate your love and support. Go follow your boy MJ on Instagram too. If you're interested in what I have going on with like what's behind me and what projects I have going off this year and what's not going off, I'm pretty active on Instagram. So go over to IG, Trap Talk God 619. Got any questions, concerns, whatever, man, hit me up. I'm not hard to get a hold of on Instagram. Then go follow the podcast's Instagram page as well, the Trap Talk Reptile Podcast. Shout out to Facebook. If you're on Facebook right now, show your boy some love. Go follow my page on Facebook, the Trap Talk Reptile Podcast. And yeah, man, Facebook still kicking it in there, I guess. Shit. Support US Art, guys, too. I should be saying that a lot more, but you guys already know how I feel about US Art. I'm a huge US Art advocate. But guys, always be on top of that. Always be aware. Head over to usarc.org and become a member, but also just be on top of current events, because you just never know, man. Things could just be going quiet and then boom, massacre. Just kidding. Don't want none of that. Anyways, guys, who's here? Who's ready to rock and roll? It's New Breed on the Block series time. We're going to be talking about some short-tail pythons. I have not had a short-tail python guest on the show for quite a while. Dom does work with some other cool stuff as well, but really, man, this is for the short-tails this week, and we're going to get shit popping. And speaking of popping, look who's in the building. The homie Herbert, HB Reptiles, Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. It's like, this guy's a real one for reals. And he's hitting heat in the ball python game. Don't sleep on Herbert. The homie Morph Valley Reptiles in the building. Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. Cohan's Constrictors in the building. Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. Sunshine State Sulfurs in the building. Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. The guy, Wise Guy in the building. Big Dom. Look at this. Guys, if you're in the chats, all right, and if you think this episode's worthy of a super chat, I mean, technically, Dom shouldn't be dropping. This is Dom's episode, but Dom's just a real one like that, man. But like, let's not let Dom hang on these damn super chats. Let's get these super chats cracking tonight, especially if you have a great topic to bring to the table, or if you just want to show some love. Dom, you're a real one, man. Seriously. And Dom's, of course, a Trap Talk Patreon member. You could see Dom here on the main banner of the Patreon member family right there on the far left. He's a real one. Anyways, appreciate you. Seriously. And tonight's going to be epic. Who else is here? Big Mike, 1776 Exotics, Trap Talk Patreon member, the OG. First Patreon member I've ever had. Guy's dope as fuck. Works with some sick shit too. JKJ, Reptiles, homie Jason in the building. Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. Big homie Ray in the building. My favorite reptile podcast. Don't sleep on this guy. Head over to YouTube right now. Subscribe on his channel. Go check out the last couple of podcasts that he just had. V Unit's boss, Emilio from Villarino Reptiles. I actually caught that episode. It was a really good episode, so make sure you go catch that. And of course, they had a great episode, first banger with Bomb Project. So this guy's he's already coming correct. Please do not sleep on my homie Ray right now. Go subscribe. Miller's Menagerie. Did I say that right? I hope I said that right this time. Jesus Christ. Thanks for being here. Big Jacob in the building. Letter Better Fetter. Trap Talk Patreon. Remember, listen, the Patreon professor in the building. Jacob, what's up with those display cases? Can I borrow those for Anaheim? Shout out to Jacob, man. We'll talk soon, man. Heartland Reptiles in the building. My dog Jordan, Trap Talk Patreon member, all day, every day. And listen, this is my dog right here. We're going to end this shit in style. Big homie Dave Levine from Natural State Exotics. My big homie. Seriously, day oneer. Thank you so much. Go give my boy Dave a follow. One of the relevant people in the ball python game, and I mean relevant by far. Do not sleep on this guy's projects because he's a hitter. Guys, it is game time. It's Monday. Do what you got to do to stay hydrated. Do what you got to do to get your mind right. But episode 347 coming at you right now for New Breed on the Block series with the homie Big Dom repping Vegas. Let's go right now. Gee. You ready for do more in the future? Trap Talk podcasts?
Yes.
Man.
Only Trap Talk. Exclusive.
Yes, exclusive.
Oh,
so stop calling us.
Rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the crop, gotta love it or not. I'm hot from the hop to the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with everybody, we do it. Everybody, we do it. Do it. Do it.
live and direct, the big homie Dom. What's up, player? How you living?
What's up, boss? How you doing?
Sound okay? Are we all good on the sound?
Yeah, no, we're good.
Yeah, we're all the way nice. Dom, how you living, man? How's everything going?
Good. Just got off work, so I'm a little tired, but I'm excited for this.
Hey, you grind, bro. I remember when I went to go tap in for the Las Vegas Reptile Super Show, you swooped me up and you were fresh off work, I believe, or going to work or something, man.
Yeah,
but man,
I got off like a 14-hour shift.
Dog, respect. What do you do for a living? Let's kind of get into that real quick.
Nurse.
That's right. You're a male nurse.
Yeah,
that is hard.
I'm a nurse, bro.
That is hard, bro. How did you get into that field?
Well, originally I went to school to be a vet, but it took a longer amount of time, and vets, they're not paid as well. I feel like they're just not as well represented in, like, whether it be the animal game or what it is. And to go to school for 8 years, and it just made more sense for me to be a nurse, as I had all like my general credits to transfer over.
I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, what are you going to do? You'd want to get a position that's going to best fulfill your needs of what you want in life.
Yeah.
Money is what we need, bro. And it's sad how like a vet can't pull that off that well. Like I feel like a lot of vets have like another spouse that makes mad bills and they're just taken care of, but
yeah.
Other than that, man, you ain't going to be making much in that field. And then honestly, what it takes to even get to become a vet, like it's like just as I mean, I don't know, you would say same shit as like becoming a doctor in the medical field.
Yeah,
right.
Plus, I already get to work with the stuff. I already work with animals, so it's like,
yeah, dude, yeah. So, anyways, that's something else, because I remember being younger, I always thought I would love to be a vet. You always think like,
right,
yeah, be a doctor for animals. Because you think like doctors are rich,
right?
Not these doctors, But anyways, man, so that's a lot of, I can only imagine the kind of, I mean, just to study and go through school to get where you're at was not easy. Like you had to go through a lot. I remember I had a few friends that are certified nurses and stuff like that. And I forget the test, what it's called, the last test, but man, was that a big, yes, man, was that a big deal, man? I remember we partied hard. We partied hard for them after they passed and all sorts of shit. And then they started their family and fucking, now they're just making bank. You know what I mean? But for you, during this time, with all the schooling and stuff, were you able to keep reptiles? Like, were you keeping reptiles back then, or was this all kind of new to you?
So I've kept reptiles my whole life, bred reptiles my whole life. With going to school and like coming out of high school, I didn't keep much, but I always had like monitors. I had a couple black throats, and then I had a black dragon, and that's what I kept throughout school. And snake wise, I didn't really have anything.
So you're more monitors.
Yeah, definitely. And then once I finished, I wanted some snakes, and then I had short tails in the past. I had 2 short tails in the past, and I looked and I kind of gravitated towards them more so than the ball pythons, because I've had ball pythons in the past and I've bred them.
Yeah.
When I was 13 to maybe 16, I was breeding things like spiders, pastels, things like that, when they were going for like $300 for a pastel.
Right.
And so I've worked with ball pythons. It's just I wanted something a little bit bigger, something that wasn't,
it's okay, man. Dom, you could say you wanted a challenge, buddy.
yeah. I didn't want a smaller snake that just kind of sat there. I mean, given bloods and short tails sit there, but they're a little bit more ornery, not aggressive, but a little bit more temperamental, and they get bigger. So
yeah, what's crazy, man, and like I said, I take my little jabs at the ball python game every now and then, but I'm just making fun. Like all my closest friends are in the ball python game, and I'm in the ball python game, but you can't anyone in the ball python game cannot deny this. When you pull a tub open and you get excited about what you're looking at, the first thing you're getting excited about is how expensive that snake is. I don't give a fuck what you say. And that's because, and then you go, oh, wow, and this is a good looking snake. And mind you, a lot of it is good looking snake. You want to talk about DG stuff and stuff like that, shit's popping. But what's more popping is the price. And that's what the ball python game does to you. You're always going to think money over what you, because let's be honest, bro, there's reticulated pythons that look better than every fucking ball python that I've ever seen. Like, and if you want to talk about, okay, well, we should be, based off colors and looks. Well, obviously I know retic's a retic, but come on, man. We already know what drives the ball python game, and that's money. It's all it is. It's not, and obviously people who passionately love ball pythons, I understand that, but they passionately love money too. So it's like,
Right.
Don't deny that shit. And that's only because what the game is. The game is so overly worked. There's so many people in the ball python game where it's competitive like that. So what only makes you really relevant in the ball python game is how expensive the fucking snakes are that you keep. That's just how it works. And it's not an easy game. Trust me, that ain't easy to fucking dabble in, but there are people doing it right. A lot of people I know.
Like you mentioned with the retics being like prettier than ball pythons. I mean, I don't think sunsets will ever get as red as a high quality bred normal red blood. I think high quality normals will be better looking than sunsets.
Sunset, such a sensitive morph right now.
I know.
And and I feel bad, not really feel bad, but like, oh man, I speak freely of certain things because I'm not heavily invested in it. But I also want to, like, I'm not trying to bash anyone out there who is. Dude, prove me wrong. Please prove me wrong. That's all I'm saying. And there are different versions of things. Like, I mean, how many times have you seen like one snake version of it, and then you see someone else make it and just made a better version of it, right? So I still think there's a lot of game left for the sunset. It's just not looking good for me. Like it's like you look at a team that's down 21-0 going into the half. That's how I look at it, right? Have people come back from that? 110%. You know what I mean? So I hope.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
They tan out too much, I think, as they age. I mean, I don't currently work with ball pythons, but I still like to stay privy with it. I like to stay up with the market, and I don't like sunsets, to be honest.
Yeah, and like I said, it's just something where, like, in the ball python game, you can't really X out any morph because any morph could come back. Like any more, like it
just takes that one.
Right. Or that one breeder to be like, look what I just did with it. And it's like, oh shit. You know what I mean? So really it's just kind of, it's just crazy because we're talking about a like, sunset clown with 60K, 2 years ago or a year ago or something that Miguel made and sold to somebody. And it's like, it's fucking expensive, bro. You know what I mean? Right. So, but that's just the name of the ball python game. How many times have a snake been priced that high and then the results off of it just haven't been like, ooh, we expected more, but it's the name of the game, man. But I have to ask you, so you do keep a little bit of ball pythons in, or none?
I don't keep any ball pythons anymore. I haven't had a ball python in years.
Damn, that's funny. I'm not gonna lie.
I think it is.
Jacob said it, not me. Oh my lord. Okay, so really then, as what we're talking about, short tails is the bread and butter for you as far as the snake game goes.
Yeah, definitely. That's the only snake species I currently keep are short tails and bloods.
And Dom, I respect the shit out of you because when we first started talking, and we became homies, you were kind of giving me like, hey, have you ever heard of this person? And you're like throwing names at me of some OGs and whatnot. Who are some of those people that kind of started not following, but you were just like, man, like they were kind of helping you establish what you wanted to do inside the short tail game?
Well, my Kabelka is definitely Nick Bottini of Cold Blooded Earth. He's doing crazy stuff, posting crazy clutches every other day. He's definitely the main dude to follow.
Say that name one more time, Tom. Say the name one more time. Sorry.
Nick Bottini, Cold Blooded Earth.
Cold Blood, dude.
Yeah.
That guy needs to come up.
I messaged him today, and I just picked up a snake from him that just hatched, hasn't even eaten. So it's just one of those things. He's definitely like the Kabelka of the short tail and blood game in my eyes.
Real cool dude too.
Yeah. Elijah's cool too. I have a few snakes from
Elijah, you want to talk about OG, bro? Like Elijah, Elijah just does his thing. You know what I mean? Like,
and he has so many different species too. So it's like,
you know what's funny, man? I think a lot of short tail pythons are low key and just do their thing. I feel like that's like the vibe of the short tail game. You don't really see any like crazy people out there. Like, I mean, is there anybody on? I would say Madman Magano, Big Dan's in the fucking child. Is it true that you took him out to dinner and you paid for his dinner?
Yeah. We went to.
He's a cheap date, bro.
We went to a steakhouse together when he came to Vegas.
I'm sure you could get this guy full off just the bread if you were to take him. Dan's a really cheap date. Like I want to spoil Dan because he just doesn't want he's just very just like fucking ramen noodle kind of guy, man. Even though he does eat a lot of spaghetti. I do follow the guy. But shout out to Dan.
Dan's super cool.
He is. I gotta say, and I've had some of the best podcasts talking about short tails with Dan being a part of it. But anyway, let's get back to what we were talking about. You know, I don't know what was it about the short tail game that interests you, like other than how cool the snakes are, right? It's also something that you got to have a niche for, right? So what was it that was kind of making you feel that way?
Well, I went to a Pomona show a few years back. I think it was in 2018. And that was when I was just keeping my monitors, and I saw blood at some dude's table, and it was just a normal T-neg, so just a normal albino blood. And when I would pass by, I'd see its eyes follow me. So nothing that I've ever seen in ball pythons or anything like that. I know retics do it as well, but retics are just too big for me. Right. I mean, I have one super dwarf, but that's it.
Female or male?
Male.
You need a female, buddy. Come on.
Oh, dude, they get too big. Even it's a super dwarf, but they still get too big, man.
Okay, pause. We're gonna pause this right now, okay? Only because I went hard on my homie. You know the homie Josh. You know JK Lab. Yeah. Okay, God bless the guy, man. But I sent him out of the bottom of my heart because I love his daughter, I love his wife, I love his whole family. But I sent him a super dwarf. Which, if I send you a super dwarf and you post it, you better put the fucking percentage of the super dwarf, the locality, and the genetics. So what does he do? And mind you, this is Facebook, so I'm not that mad at it. But he posts, I got a brand new reticulated python. I'm like, hey, super excited. I'm like, hey, asshole, how about you fucking reword what you just said right now? Because I don't work with just retics. These are locality specifics. These do get smaller. Right. So I have to ask you what the background is of that super dwarf that you have.
So I have a 50% Karampa from Garrett.
Okay, so it is. I mean,
it's from Garrett. So.
Whoa! You got a Karampa from Garrett? How the hell did you swindle that?
I hounding him.
So okay, Dom, why do you just have a soul male then? That's an important snake. What's your?
Because I wanted it.
So what is it? An educational piece?
I wanted it.
Pet? You just it's your
I
pet?
wanted it. I don't have plans on breeding it. I just wanted it.
How's the demeanor? How is he? Is he cool? What's he like?
Super cool. I mean, you open his tub and he's ready. He's super ready.
Yeah.
But as soon as you pull him out, he's cool. He pisses on you once in a while, but
it's typical retic behavior, man. They just they mean business as soon as you open up, but once they know that they're not going to be fed, it's a whole nother ball game. But also don't ever have that fucking smell on you. That's the only time I've ever gotten bit is when like I still smelt like rat. And if they
they're just ready.
Yeah, if they're hungry, you know. But that's cool. I had no idea you had that Karampa. That's 50%. Karampa. So it's just a normal 50%. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Cool. How big is it right now?
Maybe 5 feet.
And it's how old is it?
Skinny, maybe 2.5, 3.
2.5, 3, and it's about 5 feet.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, I'll send me pics of that later on. I'm curious to see. I didn't even know that. I gotta say, Karampa is probably my favorite locality just because how rare it is. You know, it's
that's definitely why I went for it.
Fucker.
But building my collection back up, I only wanted stuff that I enjoyed.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I respect you. I mean, listen, I there's people who go out there based off popularity. I go off shit that's not even worked with. You know what I mean? Or just not worked with enough. And there's so much out there, bro. Like there's so many amazing species of reptiles that not a lot of people know about. And I bet if they did know about it, they would want to work with it. But that's day by day. I think times are changing little by little with that. Hopefully with the fucking legislations don't catch up with us and yeah, you know, I don't know. You know what I gotta ask you, you're in Nevada, bro. You live in Las Vegas. What are the laws like keeping animals in Las Vegas?
They're weird, man. I mean, you can keep like things like big cats, but you can't keep certain things like snapping turtles or like it's just they're weird. I mean, it's pretty easy to get something like a giraffe, but like you can't keep certain species of fish, certain cichlids, you can't keep things like that.
So like circus animals are okay.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. It's like it was laws enacted a long time ago that just never got changed or fixed, to be honest.
Okay. And Jurassic temperatures too is what you deal with, right? I mean, you do have crazy.
That's part of the reason why I moved here, because I'm originally from LA. But I moved here because I wanted to keep monitors outdoors.
Ooh.
Yeah.
And I mean, but Vegas gets hot, like what would you say temperatures compared to Vegas, how it gets in Australia or certain parts of like Africa and stuff?
So out here, it'll get to like I live like far from the suburbs, like almost on the edge of town, and
Okay.
it'll get maybe 110, 112.
But like those are the consistent days of those, right?
Yeah,
For how long?
a few months, maybe like 3-4 months.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious how do you bring them inside or do
So
you
in the
shade
winter,
them?
I bring them inside, but the summer they're out. A majority of them are out all day long. The only monitors I bring back in are I have a McRae, so I have a blue tree monitor, and that never goes outside.
Right. 'Cause it's a little too much for it, right?
Yeah, but other things like the Ackies will go out in the summer. I have a pair of Pilbarensis, the Pilbara rocks. They'll go outside. The black throats will go outside. All that stuff will go outside.
And let's kind of talk about how you have that set up, because I'm sure there's like a fan system or a shade or
Yeah, so I would say about 75% of the enclosure is shaded.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, 75% of the enclosure is shaded, and then 25% it has direct sunlight.
And do you have like a system where you spray in the morning or at night, or do you not
No,
spray at all? Or just leave them alone?
Before and after work every day.
Okay, before and after work. Wow, that's impressive. And you built these cages yourself, I'm assuming?
Yeah.
Okay. I met your pops at the show before. Shouts to your pops.
Yeah, huge. He's a huge help. Helped me build all the cages.
I was gonna say, man, I have a dad like that too, man. I would feel like I wouldn't be anywhere where I'm at if it wasn't for my pops.
Yeah.
So that's cool. So your dad got down and helped you kind of build this fucking dream that you wanted, which is
Yeah.
the animals.
He's super, and they're all super supportive.
That's cool.
They all, he used to keep animals when I was younger. Him and my uncle, my mom's brother.
Right.
My mom's brother used to import animals, so that's how I got into it when I was so young. And then it just kind of flourished from there.
So your uncle was an importer?
Yeah, he used to import stuff in LA.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you know what year this was? Maybe
it was maybe the early 2000s. He did it for a while.
Damn, is he still around?
He's still around, but he doesn't do reptiles anymore.
Dog, I would sit down with that fool and just be like, "Hey, who'd you used to get imports from?" I'm curious. It could be Mario. It could be like Cameron from
right.
Master. Listen, that guy may know some stories, bro.
Yeah, I remember just getting like shipments of just stuff in box from like UPS or like definitely not regulated stuff like we have now. It was wild back then.
Bro, I heard it was a fucking like the Wild Wild West. They just whatever they ship they would ship whatever they wanted, however they wanted. They wouldn't give a fuck. And a lot of it wasn't overnighted. It was like 3-4 days.
Dude, I remember we got 50 baby veiled chameleons back in the day in like a bubble mailer.
Oh,
and it was
looking
back at it, it's horrible.
Yeah.
But that's just kind of the way it was back then.
I mean, who was really setting examples back then? There was really nobody out there. It was kind of like, it's kind of like how you can't really get mad at people who just put things in tanks, like in just glass tanks, because dude, I was raised that way. Like if I were 30 years old in the 90s, all my shit would be in glass tanks, I would think, because that's really, fuck, who the hell knew about Freedom Breeder? Only the people, only people in the hobby. But that's why, like in the 90s, the snake, from what I maybe could think, snaking was probably like a cult, bro. Like it was DL. It was like not a lot of people did that. Like I'm telling you right now, bro, I didn't know a lot of people who kept big snakes or any of that. Like it was super blue moon anytime I ran into someone who had like a random pet boa constrictor or something. But reading, I never met nobody who bred snakes. Never. Yeah. I had one friend who had a brother. He had like an older brother who kept like 20 different pythons and species in this huge gallon tank. And that's when I saw an Argentine boa for the first time. I saw a carpet python for the first time. With a ball python. All these snakes were together, bro. And they were just one big happy family, just like in one big tank. And I'm just like, wow. Like I thought it was cool, but obviously if I were
sounds like Jay, bro.
Huh?
Sounds like Jay keeping all the snakes together in one tank.
Yeah. But man, dude, think about why, even probably Jay's the way Jay is. Jay's just from that era, bro. He's from the 90s. He's just from the old school ways that was probably very cost efficient. Like, you know what I mean? Like, think about it. Does cost money if you want to upkeep shit on the professional level. Like those racks behind you. Racks behind you ain't cheap. You kidding me? That's baller ass shit. Shout out to Freedom Breeder. Those are Freedom Breeder, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got the same ones. Super hard. I do want to say shout out to the sponsor of tonight's episode, Freedom Breeder. But man, I'm telling you right now, that kind of just it changes everything because you get into this game, Dom, and you're like, oh, how much are these animals? Oh, wow, maybe a guy could afford that. But then you have to look into what you want to put the animal in. And I mean, if we're talking about one animal, it's not too bad. But if you're talking about like 20 animals or something like that, it's going to cost you money if you want to keep shit the way nowadays is looked upon as professional, you know?
Right.
And it changes everything. But honestly, I think you should. I think if you have the money to spend on that expensive ass animal, you should have the money to put it in the best thing possible, right?
Right.
Or don't have it.
Yeah, if you can't care for it, what's the point in having it?
Yeah, and you know, listen, I've already promised I promised myself, more importantly, I won't just go on this tangent about Jay no more because people already know how I feel about Jay. I just wish the guy would kind of just sit back and just see what he has that he no longer needs, you know, and put it in someone else's hands. But a lot of the reasons why that won't happen because he won't get the money for it, and you know, he like him and a lot of the other people, unfortunately, that animal, he'd rather have that animal go down with him and if no one's going to pay him versus him putting it in the right person's hands or something, you know what I mean? But
I think he produces too much mainland stuff, and mainlands just aren't as popular as, you know, they used to be. Not everyone wants a 18-foot retic.
I mean, dude, that was the case 5 years ago, I think. But it just wasn't this serious. Now it's to the point where, like, bro, people can't even give away their mainlands. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, there's literally people stressed out, like, I don't know what to do with this. I can't even give it away. And it's like, well, first and foremost, it's kind of like people are kind of getting smart. Like, why does this person want to give away this snake? Like, that can't be good if you want to give it away. And normally giveaways to me is like a red flag. But I don't know. Yeah, either way, it's probably smart you don't get another retic.
No, I'm not into breeding retics. I keep it because I like it.
So going back to keeping what you like, I want to talk about how you kind of started moving in the short tail game. Was there a specific and these are morphs, correct me if I'm wrong, right? They have morphs and short tails, right? Like the
yeah, they do. There's morphs and short tails.
What was the first morph you kind of dabbled into the short tail game, and where did it go from there?
So the first blood I bought was an albino T negative. So that was the first morph I got, and then I quickly I went on Instagram and quickly found everyone like Sean at Sound Serpents or like Nick at Cold Blooded Earth, and I just fell in love with all the colors and mutations that Bloods had, and red's my favorite color, so the most predominant color in Bloods. So
dude, I don't know how long you been following me for, Dom?
A while. I know you did post a trio of Curtis from Elijah, I believe, back in the day.
Yeah, so you did know me when I had short tails.
I was gonna hit you up on those. Wow.
So cool, because I'm like you. So the first snake I really got my hands on was a T negative. God damn, which one was it? It was a Lili. You know the Lili?
Yeah.
And I remember the guy talking to me about it. He's like, yeah, these are rare. Like, not a lot of people work with them. They usually go for this price. But we were trading, so the price really didn't matter, right? At that moment. So, but I remember like really admiring how amazing these snakes were. But the good thing about, or the more crazy thing about short tails is, you know, they could be intimidating. Like if you don't know how to approach a short tail, especially a young one, these fuckers will launch at you. They will fucking they're psychotic. I mean,
especially if you keep them hot. Like if you keep them like a ball python, they're just not fun.
Which I did. Yeah, I fucked up. Oh yeah, I found out right away like how to adjust that. And once I adjusted it, it was like, oh my god, this thing I could just touch it whenever I want now, you know. And it was great. Right. But it was cool to see that transition. Every single one of my short tails went from psychotic to just normal. You know what I mean? Right. At some period of time of them growing up. With you, first and foremost, I've never really understand the best way to raise up a short tail python, because I do know that they do take longer to get to size, right? Or am I wrong?
So females can roughly take, I think, about 3 to 3.5 years. And then males, you can start breeding in about 2 years. I mean, it's nothing like ball pythons where males you can breed at 550 to 600 grams.
Right. And for you, how have you approached breeding yet, or what's going on with the breeding project?
I had a pairing last season. didn't take. But this season, I figured out what I did wrong, and I am dialing it in. I should have 4 pairings this year.
So let's kind of talk about what you felt went wrong.
Okay. Well, one was feeding. I thought that the female would want more food because, you know, bloods and short tails, they'll eat as much as you'll give them. So I was feeding the females pretty heavy, the female that I was breeding, and I think I just fed her way too much in the breeding season.
Yeah.
And then also I don't think I put the male in enough. So I had a few locks, but I didn't keep the male in with her, going with her enough.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many different things that could be at play, right? Because first and foremost, this is her first time, correct?
Yeah, this is my first time breeding short tails or bloods.
But that's her first time, the female.
Yep.
Female's never laid before, right?
Yeah, all my bloods I've purchased as hatchlings. I don't have any that I've gotten as adults.
How old is she?
She's 3.
Okay, so 3 years old. So it could just be she's ready next year too.
Yeah.
You know, I always say, man, maturity is always on your side when it comes to certain things, especially snakes. Because, you know, especially with ball pythons, you know how people can get a ball python to breed at 6 months and they have no problems. I just feel like you may not have a problem, but you're going to run into problems at some point. Going that young, you know, you kind of think about how, you know, that's kind of comparable of a 12-year-old going at it, you know, as a human. And it's just, I don't know. And I'm sure it could happen, but should it happen at that point? I don't think so. You know, I don't know.
I don't think it's not good on their bodies. I don't think. And why rush it? I mean, at that point, you're just in it for the babies. And I mean, I think you should treat the adult as your own animal before you try to breed stuff, you know?
Yeah. And with you being in Vegas, you're in the city of Vegas, correct? Or are you in a different city?
No, I'm in Vegas.
So within your city limits, you know, it's seasonal big time, right? So you have a cold front and then you have the hot front, right? So right now we're obviously approaching the summertime. Right now you are limited on the food right now. Like you're not feeding as much, or are you just feeding normal right now? How's your feeding routine going as of right now?
So everything that's a year and a half or under is eating weekly. And then the older stuff I'm feeding maybe every 10 days, like the bigger adults, and then the medium-sized adults I'm feeding every 10 days as well. But I also like to throw a curveball in, and sometimes I won't feed for 2 weeks. It just depends on how the animal's looking.
Right. So I'm curious, is that going to be your approach going into breeding next year? Or is there going to be a point in time where you don't feed her before you pair or anything like that?
I think that's what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to stop feeding probably for a month and a half, 2 months. Okay. And then I'm going to probably slam her a little bit and then just go back to normal feeding. It's all trial and error for me right now. I've never bred them before. So just trying out different things, seeing what works.
So let me ask you how you feel, because obviously, you know, you being where you're at in the short tail game, I'm sure you do a lot of paying attention to who's breeding what and what's happening in the market. And I'm curious on what your thoughts are in the short tail game. Do you still feel like there's mad potential and not enough people working in it, or do you think that's changing?
100%. I think there's definitely not enough people working with it. I think there's plenty of room for growth. I think a lot of people are also starting to get into short tails, whether it's bloods, Sumatrans, Borneos. Like I know Jacob at Civil Serpents has some Sumatrans, he has some bloods, and then obviously Sean at Sound Serpents is a fucking monster in the game. He hasn't gotten the clutch, but he's a fucking monster when it comes
Sean Perry. What a name. I always said I love the name Sean Perry, first and foremost. Right. It's like this motherfucker's like plays for the fucking Raptors or something, just shooting. That's all I can think about. But the man did not come on the show. He needs Sean. Listen, buddy. Dom, you're my boy, right? I did ask Dom, or I did ask Sean to come on the show before you. And the motherfucker he left me on scene, bro. He left me on scene. And I was like, no problem. I'll go to Dom right now. And that's where we're at, man. So, you know,
Sean's the man, though.
Sean's a real one, man, because Sean's low key, but he knows what the fuck's up. He pays attention and he loves what he works with. And I can't wait to get Sean. He'll come on the show at some point. I already know it. But yeah, heavy hitter for sure within that. So so let me ask you that. Do you feel like you're ever going to have an issue selling snakes once you get to that point? Or do you feel like because where you're at as far as who you know, it's going to be easier to kind of move snakes once you need to.
I'll keep them all, bro.
That's
if something doesn't sell, I'll keep them. I'm breeding stuff not to. I mean, I have a job already. You know,
right.
I'd be lying to myself if I didn't want to say I wanted to do it full time. But
Right.
if stuff doesn't fly off the shelves, or I'm breeding stuff that I want to see. I'm not like
Right.
I'm not chasing stuff, or I'm not what's the word for it? I'm not trying to create stuff that has been created. In other words, I'm just trying to make stuff that I want to see, or that I want.
You're just doing your thing.
Yeah, I want to be my own best customer.
Man, I love hearing that. That's how I feel about these. Not the ball pythons, obviously, but goddamn, these right here. Oh, but I will say though, too, you know, things are changing with me in the ball python game, because now how much I'm working on like my hets. Like I have a lot of double recessive type projects that I'm really tackling this year. And
Right.
dude, I'm not gonna lie, man. When you have something that's 100% double het, that snake looks fucking crazy, bro. Like you got these snakes that just really have these het influences in them, and I want to keep them. Like
Right.
the last two clutches that are both 100% double het clown hypo, I don't want to get rid of anyone. I want to keep all of them. Yeah, it's stupid.
They're all super nice looking.
Yeah, they're fucking clean. Like I'm just like you never see like technically the morphs that they are. Like one of them is what, pinstripe, yellow belly, but it's like the most orangest looking snake, right? And I'm just like,
Right.
dude, this is not normal. So anything that just has that kind of like feeling where I'm like, dude, this is not a normal looking snake, I'm gonna keep it. Fuck it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, and that's a good attitude to have, because when you have that kind of attitude and you hold on to shit like that, and that's kind of what Will Morrows does and all these other heavy hitters, they just hold on to shit that they like. They don't fucking, they're not desperate, and then they breed it, and then boom, they end up producing the nicest version of it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's one thing I do like about it. And now I have to ask you this, Dom. I do know when you finally do get your first clutch of either blood pythons or short tail pythons, or maybe I'm wrong, but those babies could be hard establishing from what I've heard.
So I know that sometimes people have issues, but I think that as long as you keep them pretty humid, and I mean, I don't have problems with feeding live. I don't feed live to my collection.
Right.
When it comes to stuff like hatchlings, I won't have any problems feeding live. So I think that's another big thing. So I'll probably just throw in live hoppers and let them do their thing. I know they're definitely not as hard as chondros, not as easy as ball pythons. I think they're somewhere in between.
I do know that the key is keeping them very wet though, right? Or just super
not wet, humid. So wet, if they're wet, they'll develop a lot of like issues, like RPI, things like that.
Yeah, because I think this is a while ago too when I saw this. Correct me if I'm wrong, but Cusco had something where he was trying to establish some short tails or something, and he had them straight over water, like straight.
Yeah. So with the water, it's just a hydration thing.
To ensure that they're drinking.
Yeah. So bloods, they like, that's one thing I love that you preach is the fresh water. So
yeah,
my bloods will get fresh water 3 times a week, and they won't touch their water in between changing days. And as soon as you put new water in there, they're immediately on it.
Yeah.
So it's with the babies, it's just getting them to drink and making sure they're well hydrated, things like that.
Let's talk about the big differences between a blood python and a short tail python, because they're two different completely species, correct? Right?
So there's 3 short tail species confirmed. There's some people that think there's extras, but so all blood pythons are short tails, but not all short tails are blood pythons.
Okay, let's make it more confusing. Tell me more. No, I want to hear this, because I got to tell you, you know, back in the day when MJ was, you know, old school MJ, no patience. Some guys, like, I posted a black, well, I called it
a Sumatran,
right? But I called it a black blood python.
Blood, right?
And he's like, that's not a black blood python. I'm like, yeah, it is. No, it's not. And I'm like, what the fuck? But he never told me why. He never explained to me. But then I realized, oh shit, he was right. So I just kind of want, for anyone out there who's confused, or how I used to be confused, let's kind of break that down like how you were right now, if you don't mind.
Right. So there's 3 different species in the short tail complex, and people like to get the nomenclature right. So there's blood pythons, there's Python Brongersmai, which is blood pythons, there's Borneos, which is Bridenstini, and then there's Sumatran Curtis, which are the Sumatran pythons. And so the Curtis or the black bloods that like people like to say, those are the Curtis pythons. Those are the Sumatran pythons. So, and when I say all blood pythons are short tail pythons, but not all short tails are blood pythons, it's kind of like if you were to say like take cresty geckos for example. All cresty geckos are geckos, but not all geckos are cresty geckos, kind of thing. If that makes sense.
So it's all confusing, bro. I mean,
that's definitely, that wasn't my goal.
No, I'm just saying, like, I love the reptile game, but like it's so deeper, like as far as what you think it is, and but it's like that with everything, like with the ball pythons mainly. And I hate to keep bringing up ball pythons, but it really is difficult when you have something that is a lilac to the other thing, and you're like, what the fuck? What does that even mean? So, but this is why it makes it so interesting. It does make it more where like it makes you want to use your head more versus just being a fucking brute about it, you know? But for you, short tail, those 3 short tail species, that's your game, right? Or do you fuck with the other stuff as well?
No. So currently I don't even really work with the Borneos. I don't own one. So I have a pair of Sumatrans, and then the rest are all bloods.
So Borneos, for one thing, those are really neat looking. I've seen some really cool looking Borneos, but is there a reason why you haven't worked with those yet?
I haven't seen one that I want to purchase. So
are you sure about that?
Don't get me wrong. Sean has a super nice one that, of course, if it hit the market, I would definitely want it. But as of right now, what's for sale, there hasn't been something yet that I was like, I really want. And the genetics with the Borneos are super tricky because they're not like true codoms and recessives and things like that. There's a lot to unlock with Borneos, and I think it's a lot to wrap my head around right now as I'm already working with bloods and things like that.
And you are right, because those really nice Borneos that we're talking about, they're not available at all.
No, everyone's keeping them for sure.
Yeah, especially like that Matt Minatola guy. You know that is, right?
Yeah, Philly.
That fool's gangster, dog.
Yeah, for sure.
I need to get that guy back on the show for sure.
Borneos are just there's not one right now that I want, but if there was, I'd definitely not hesitate to pick it up.
So what would you say your ultimate plan is right now with the short tails? Like, let's just say if things were to go your way in the next 3 years, what would you want to be sitting on holdback wise? Like, what would be one snake that you're like, fuck, if I could be sitting on this snake 3 years from now, that's what the business would be.
A T- flower or a T- pollen matrix.
What the hell is what's a flower, bro? I've never even heard of that one. That's sick. What is a flower?
Yeah, so a flower is the super version of a pollen. So it's like a super heavy stripe on the dorsal.
Does anyone make that yet, or is that like no one's made that?
No, so there are a few people that have made them. So Elijah has made them.
Okay.
VPI obviously has made them. They came from VPI, and John Guile has made them.
Wow.
I'm sure there may be a few more people, but those are the 3 that stick out to me currently.
And again, those are a type of snake that isn't on the market for sale right now. Like those are being held back and worked with.
Yeah, pretty much. I know Daniel at Daniel Wakefield, that's his Instagram. He purchased one. Mm-hmm. But other than that, I don't really ever see them.
What would the price tag be on something like that? If you could just guess, like out there.
I don't have a guess. I'm not sure because they don't really
over 5K for sure.
Yeah, over 5.
Over 10?
I don't think over 10.
But
I'd say over 5, under 8.
Okay. Fun. I like it.
there's just so much mystery when it comes to bloods and short tails.
Yeah. But as far as mixing the two, you don't do that, right? Like that's okay.
Heavily frowned upon in the short tail community to go ahead and mix those.
There has to be an asshole who've done it though, right? For sure.
Oh, 100%. There was a hybrid on MORPH market not too long ago.
What's your feelings on angry bloods? Or what are they called? Angry ball. Oh, angry ball. That angry ball.
So
Elijah made some, and I was like, "What the fuck?" And then
like the Angolan mix.
Who else made them? Did Dan make some too? No,
I don't think it was.
Maybe it was just Elijah.
I know Elijah. Elijah's made a few hybrids that I know.
Someone else made it. I can't think my head around it, and this is like a few years ago. But what's crazy is like, I saw that being made and I thought, oh, wow, these are gonna be crazy. But no, they're just one hit wonders. Like there's not a market for things like that.
No. And I don't really have an opinion one way or another on hybrids. I think as long as you keep them in your collection or you don't sell them to the population and they don't get out there, then I mean, you're gonna do what you want, because I mean, at the end of the day, we're not in nature. I mean, what we're doing isn't natural. We're keeping snakes and breeding them. But as long as you're like, you're responsible, you don't let those animals out to people that'll relabel them or don't know what they're doing, then
So just for the record, Dan Magano did do hybrids. I'm just kidding. He did it.
Oh yeah, I was like, wait a second. I'm pretty sure it wasn't Dan.
He said hybrids are feeders.
Yeah, we spoke on hybrids, so I was like, I'm pretty sure it's not Dan.
I think at the end of the day, what we're trying to say is keep your piece of shit art to yourself, and fucking nobody wants to see that shit, man.
Yeah.
And that kind of proves, like, if there's no market for something like that, why even make it? I think it's just to piss people off, really. I mean,
I think it's
cool, but
I think it's a lack of knowledge too. Like you have a Borneo short tail, and then you have a blood python. You think they look the same and they're the same species because they're short tails, and then you just breed them, and then they just get labeled off as something else, and then that gets thrown into someone else's collection because they think it looks cool, and then they breed it later down the line, and it just muddies up the genetics of everything.
What would really bother me, like personally, if I'm in that hobby, if someone did a hybrid where they haven't even done like the pure version of that yet. Like it's like, bro, at least get that down first before you get. Right. And it's like Carpondros, right? We all know fucking how BS Reptiles feels about Carpondros, right? Jesus hates Carpondros, but like if you're out there putting a fucking carpet python to a green tree python, and you're never even successfully bred a green tree to a green tree, or let alone a carpet to a carpet, yeah, you're. I would keep it moving if I was you, man. You're just just breed something easy.
Right. Making Frankenstein snakes.
Yeah. Let me ask you the diet preference that you like to work the chain up for your baby short tails to adults. So how are you offering them the dieting for that? How's that working?
So with babies, they'll usually take anywhere from like small rats to wean, or not small rats, but like rat pups, all the way to like weaning rats once a week, and then I'll bump them up to smalls, and then once they hit about like larger size mediums, or even mediums, I'll start backing off on the feeding.
Okay, and backing off meaning like, so like an adult's getting fed how much?
Maybe twice a month.
Okay. And they also, they don't shit a lot. Like they're also known their shits for a while.
They don't shit a lot, but they piss, bro.
Oh, they piss?
Dude, it's fucked. People, they don't shit at all. They shit a couple times a month, like once every couple months. But piss, dude, you'll clean a cage and it'll be flooded the next day.
Oh man, yeah, Dan. Speaking about flooded, man, like I said, I follow Dan, and he shows some pretty horrendous conditions, which he changes right then and there. But I'm just saying, like, they just fucking.
Short tails love to drink, man, and their piss is like no other.
And they're just sitting there looking at you, like, hey, you gonna help me out here? Like,
and then you gotta soak a giant fucking snake because it stinks like piss.
Yeah. Like, how much fun is that? Bro, I'll never forget, man. My adult short tails, or the Lili, she would shit like the size of my forearm, bro. And it'd be like once every 3 months or something like that. I'm like,
no, it's ridiculous.
That is nuts. Where do you get your rodents from? Like, who do you get your mice from and stuff like that? I'm curious because there's a lot of stuff going on with third-party mice, and I just want people to have like be heads up on that shit. How's your like, where are you getting mice from and stuff? I have to ask you.
I was getting supplied by Cold Blooded Cafe and Big Cheese, and then I met someone local through a friend who he has like maybe a 1,500 square foot like guest house that he just breeds rats in.
Well, that's sick.
Yeah. So I get rats from him, but he doesn't do any frozen or anything.
Right.
I have to go ahead and euthanize them myself with like a CO2 tank, things like that. But it's definitely more affordable, and I know the dude now, and he takes care of the rats pretty well.
nothing could beat a local plug, bro. I'll tell you
Yeah.
that. No, I mean, shout out to my homies over at Supreme Exotic Feeders here in San Diego. They've been so loyal to me for the last like 6 going on 7 years. I call them Uber feeders because they just drop my shit off like fucking clockwork all the time,
Right.
every week. And you just can't beat that, bro.
Right.
And you know, obviously, just like everywhere else, prices are going up. But man, the prices online for rodents and shit is stupid, bro. Not as bad as pet stores, so mind you, pet stores are the worst. I mean, you're not going to get raped more than if you go and walk into a pet store.
Right.
But having a local plug or just being able to produce yourself, because dude, it's hard to rely on people, bro.
100%.
And because anything could go wrong too. But my biggest scare right now is just hearing how people's snakes are dying just based off feeding stuff frozen thawed.
Right. That was another reason why I switched. I met the dude. I liked him. I saw how he treated his rats. I mean, he feeds them vegetables and watermelon and shit like that. Not just straight rat pellet Missouri. So I like the quality of his rats, and then I just started buying from him.
What would that? Let me ask you this, man. I mean, you've been keeping and breeding for your whole life, like you said, but like as of right now, if you were to have let's just say a few snakes that were your holdbacks, and you fed them a frozen thawed hopper and it wiped them all out, like what would you do in that position? Like you personally, like would you go back to that company and ask them and say what's up, or would you get your snakes tested? Like what would Dom do, or what would you want to do in that position if that were to happen to you?
If I for sure knew that a rodent killed one of my snakes, like
let's just say you fed only one row of rack this specific item of rodent, and you wake up the next day they're all rolled. You know what I mean?
Okay. If I knew for sure that it was a certain company and it wasn't like my own care or like a disease or anything, dude, I would just start breeding my own shit.
Yeah.
It would just take that to have me start breeding my own stuff. Just to have an animal die and it not be your fault, especially one that you've been raising, caring for, cleaning, watering, feeding, and for it to like just croak out of nowhere because of something like that, I would immediately start building a shed, throw out all the rats I have in my freezer, and just start breeding my own stuff.
Do you think you're gonna want to do that at some point, regardless in this hobby at some point?
Not in the foreseeable future. I've bred rats before.
Shit sucks.
When I was breeding ball pythons, and it was horrible.
It's a whole nother load of work, man. But it's like
it's something that's not enjoyable. At least when I'm cleaning snake shit, I get to see something I like. Rats, it's not for me.
Yeah, I feel you. And at least for the most part, though, when you get these feeders that you're getting locally now, because I mean he has big rats too, like you're getting mediums and shit from him, I'm assuming.
Oh yeah, I'm getting like large and like what people call colossal. It's like the bigger than the larger rats. Yeah,
those are huge. In the you just use the O2 or the chamber. You do the
I'll just gas him myself because he doesn't do it.
Where'd you learn to do that?
What was that?
Where'd you learn to build that? Like on YouTube or something?
Oh no, my uncle used to do it because he used to feed like chickens and rabbits and shit, and he just didn't want to, he didn't want to throw a live rabbit in with a fucking 15-foot retic.
Yeah. And what's crazy is it's just like, bro, we already know like what damage a rat can do. Like it doesn't even take a big rat for that rat to fuck that snake up if it has the opportunity, and I've seen it firsthand. That's why I'm always paranoid anytime I do have to feed live. I kind of watch the whole wrap go down because like some of these snakes will just fucking they'll lazy strike at something and just and grab it, and the whole front portion of the rat is like mobile and it could just like do whatever it wants. You know what I mean? And the snake's just holding on to the tail like, oh, I got you. You know what I mean? Like, so you definitely gotta be careful with shit like that. But that's cool that you have that chamber. I think that's a really smart move because you don't have to worry. You don't have to worry about it either. But check this out. I got a wrap up question before we get into some hot seat questions, Dom. At some point, I'm curious on how you're looking at approaching reptile shows. Do you ever feel like you would want to vend if you ever get to that point? Do you feel like that's important to anyone out there who's looking to kind of get a name in the breeding game at some point? What do you feel about the shows?
100%. No, definitely. If I have enough stuff to vend, I will. I vended 3 shows in my life, and I was 14, 15, 16, and they were all the Anaheim super shows. And I vended those when I was younger. with my uncle, of course, but I was breeding like bumblebees, things like that. And I don't know, I enjoy the camaraderie of shows and going to shows, things like that.
And what would you say one of the most memorable shows you had back in the day? Like, anything that stands out to you?
Definitely the super shows in San Diego.
Damn, I miss those, man.
Yeah, definitely. We would stay at the gas lamp and then we would just go to the shows.
Damn. I gotta talk to Rami about San Diego shows because they're no longer. They switched to Anaheim now. But I did not like where we had the super shows in San Diego. That Civic Center, like the parking lot fucked, and it was just like it was even hard to see where it was at. It was like super hidden within. You know what I mean?
Right.
And you know, San Diego's beautiful. There's so many different spots. It's just expensive. I never talked to Rami about this, but I'm curious. I'm wondering what we could do to hopefully bring a show back to San Diego. Because it's San Diego. What the fuck? Like, nothing against Anaheim or LA, but sorry guys. You're not San Diego. San Diego's fucking goddamn gorgeous. It's beautiful. It's like not saturated, even though it's kind of getting there. But anyways, man. Anaheim Super Show. I'm looking forward to seeing you, right? You're gonna be going to Anaheim this year?
100%.
All right, cool. Yeah, we'll talk more about that. This has been a great time, Dom. I do have hot seat questions for you before I let you go. Okay. Guys, do me a favor. Get the likes up for Dom. 702 Serpents. We're gonna get these hot seat questions cracking from my homie. You already know how these roll, Dom. Quicker the better. You ready?
Yep.
All right, hot seat questions coming in hot. Frozen thought or live?
Frozen thought.
A cut or no cut?
A cut.
On what day for a short tail?
It's similar to balls, so 55, 56.
Pre first shed meal or post first shed meal?
Bloods pre, ball pythons post.
Nice. Favorite short tail python morph?
And pollen.
Least favorite short tail python morph?
Right now, pale gray.
To spray or miss a short tail, or to never and spray and miss a shot, or never spray a short tail?
To miss.
Yay imports or boo imports?
Yay.
One reptile you would import anywhere around the world to your collection today, what would that be?
A marine iguana.
Wow. What are you going to put that in? I'm kidding.
I'll figure it out.
I'm going to build an ocean in the back.
Right.
That's sick. What about one reptile nobody should ever touch? Leave it alone.
I don't think anyone should import savannas anymore.
Number one restaurant you recommend going to in Vegas? To me, like, you know what I like to eat, bro. So just like, if you could pick one baller ass spot in Vegas that you could think of, what would you pick?
There's a hole in the wall Mexican spot called Michi's that's unbeatable. I grew up in LA and I know what good Mexican food is. And Michi's has crazy good Mexican food. Little hole in the wall.
I said baller, and this guy did a hole in the wall. I cannot believe it.
It's all about the flavor.
All right, I feel you. All right, we're keeping it moving. Here we go. West Coast rap or East Coast rap?
West Coast.
Favorite West Coast rapper of all time?
Tupac or Mozzie.
Nice. Little word association. First thing to come to mind: Morph Market.
Love it.
YouTube.
Also love it.
Facebook groups.
Dead.
Fucked up the vibe. Substrate.
Coco.
FedEx shipping.
Necessary.
Imports.
50-50.
First time short tail python breeder.
Do your research.
Instagram trolls.
Fuck them.
Mainland reticulated pythons.
Not for everyone.
If you had to eliminate one of the short tail python species forever, can never bring it back. It is what it is. What's that one species, man?
Borneos.
Dang. You hurt some feelings out there, but it is what it is. Hey, bro, we just had shy 60 people tapped in for tonight's episode. Everyone in here showing you the live chats, showing you mad love and support. So what do you have to say to all your supporters and all your real ones out there, bro?
Appreciate everyone coming out, watching the show.
And the best way to kind of just see what's going on with your own stuff is follow you on IG, right? 702 Serpents on Instagram.
Yeah, it's the only platform I have. I don't really post on it though. but
And-
I do sometimes.
And for sure, you could tap in at Anaheim Super Show with you and Pomona. You'll be there, right?
100%.
All right, man. Well, listen, Dom, I'm glad we finally got this episode in. That's a wrap. Give it up for my boy, Dom. 702 Serpents, ladies and gentlemen. All right, bro. Thank you. Have a good night.
You too.
Later.
Man.
Peace. Hey, don't. Damn it. I was like, I want pictures of that Karampa, by the way. I want to see that. And he dipped out. Guys, thank you so much. Great episode. Yeah, man. Short tails are cool. I like talking about that. I just want to let you know that this is not over. Talking about short tails, bloods are not over, because this week we are bringing a heavy hitter. This is the warm-up to what we have going on this Thursday night. Rich Crowley from Rich Crowley Reptiles in the flesh, finally coming to Trap Talk Reptile Podcast this Thursday night, 6 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. So that's why it's very important you hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and set your reminder. That way you don't get slept on, especially if you're into short tails. This guy's the man. Comes highly, highly, highly recommended. So anyone out there who's been wanting some more short tail blood python talk, get your seats ready, get your popcorn ready. It's going down Thursday. Like I said, even Dan Magano says it himself. We're all about to learn a lot. Thank you guys so much for tapping in. Again, don't forget to follow me on Instagram, TrapTalkGod619, and also follow, please, the Trap Talk Reptile Podcast on Instagram. Shout out to Facebook. If you're on Facebook, give me a follow and like that shit, please. Much love and respect to Facebook. If you're looking for exclusive content, if you like to support what I do, if you want to tap in more than what you see here on a weekly basis, go down to the very first link you see in the description below. Join the Trap Talk Patreon family. Since you join the Patreon family, you get a link to the Discord. Many perks, many great activities with the Patreon family. We're real ones, man. Love you guys. Love all of you. Love all the support, man. Period. If you just watch this, if you don't even hit the subscribe button, but you're like, man, I fuck with MJ. I just don't want him to know. Thank you. I don't listen. I appreciate you. It's all good. You make this relevant. Yeah, can't wait. It's going to be a great month. It's going to be a great year, rest of the year. Big things popping. And I also want to, of course, not leave this episode without shouting out the sponsor of tonight's episode. Shout out to Rami, Reptile Super Show. Going down. Book your hotel rooms. It's sold out, fellas, as far as vendors go. Fellas and fellas, fella girls, you know what I'm saying? Reptile Super Show, it's going down, Anaheim. And of course, Ship Your Reptiles, the OG in the shipping your reptile game. Ship with the best, the OG, real OG, triple OG. Ship Your Reptiles. I'll see you guys here Thursday night. Dom, thank you so much for such an epic episode. But that's a wrap for episode 347. Catch you guys here Thursday. Have a good night, and I'm out. Cheers.